Hey everyone, it's Clay. We're back for another episode of BRG TV, and today we are joined by the one and only Chad Reynolds with Northwestern Mutual. Chad is a wealth management advisor and someone that I trust with my own money. So, wanted to bring him on today and ask some questions that I think a lot of people have out there as we go through these uncertain times of the global pandemic. So, thanks for joining us today, Chad.
Thanks for having me, Clay. Look forward to it.
Yeah, we'll get right into some questions here. Obviously, the markets have been very turbulent since the start of the pandemic. People watching, what question or questions should they be asking a financial advisor right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. As you stated, the market's been up and down quite a bit. It's important, like we're investing for goals, right? So we're investing for our retirement. It's one thing to be evaluating how we're pacing towards those goals when times are good, when the market's doing well. It's important to look at it now, right? And see how we're pacing now. Maybe when the market isn't doing so well, we realize that we need to be saving more to achieve those goals. So that's a big question we're going through with our clients. We're reevaluating how we're pacing when markets are not so positive, and we're going to reallocate or readjust to make sure that we're saving enough to retire in good times or bad.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's also probably a great reminder of why people should have an investment strategy during an emergency like this. To your point, it's probably more important than ever to have a plan in place, maybe some money set aside for emergencies like this. Is there a recommended amount or time frame of money that people should set aside just in case job loss occurs or health reasons or whatever the case may be, they can't work?
Yeah, there is. And I mean, when it rains, it pours, right? So it's like, sure, you could lose your job, but the market could also be off 20%, like what's going on right now, those types of things. So it's important that you do have money set aside for our clients that are in marketable positions, have a good skill set that's recession proof and salaried or considerable salaries. We're usually recommending 3 months. For clients like you, Clay, that are very much performance related in your compensation, right? Like it should probably be closer to 6 months. The other key is it shouldn't all be in the market. You need to have money that's available to you when the stock market's down. You don't want to sell investments when they're down. That's one of the worst things you can do.
So 3 to 6 months, roughly, depending on your field of work and in different investments, which of course you could advise them on, I'm sure. So that's
Correct.
great. Next question for me, there's a lot of different titles thrown around in the financial services field. You have financial advisor, you have wealth manager, you have certified financial planners. Are there differences in those titles? What does it all mean, Chad?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's actually no regulation around titles, right? So there was a great commercial, I think, put out by the CFP where some guy was interviewing some potential clients and using a bunch of lingo to my industry, and then they show him later that weekend DJing a party and saying that's what he really does, right? So it's like you do have to be careful. My title is wealth management advisor. At the same time, I'm a certified financial planner. I'm a chartered financial consultant. I'm a certified life underwriter, right? I have all these names or designations after my name. It's important that you look for people that do have things like that, right? That's showing that folks are continuing their education and they are qualified beyond just a title that says financial advisor. Oftentimes people specialize in investments, right? And they call themselves a financial advisor, but the reality, they're really just an investment advisor, right? The same on the insurance side or the risk management side. A certified financial planner will be able to bring those both together, and they're kind of the gold standard. Not kind of, they are the gold standard. And they also market themselves very well. So it's, if you're looking for a holistic plan, a good financial plan, not just investment or insurance advice, you should look for a CFP generally.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. So if people listening don't have a trusted advisor already, when would you recommend someone start considering seeking professional advice? Is there a certain age range, or is it more of an income level, or should everybody have one? What's the deal there?
Yeah, so it's like arguably everyone should have one, and arguably everyone should have a personal trainer, right? It would probably help us out. I know it helped my waistline if I did, but it is what it is, right? So as your life becomes more complex, a lot of folks want to do it themselves. They may have an interest in financial planning. And the reality of the situation is it's not rocket science, right? But a lot of it is accountability. It's having an objective perspective that can help you prioritize. And that's all finances really is, right? So if you're not saving as much now, you're trading tomorrow for today and vice versa. And having someone to help bridge that gap or balance that is important. At the same time, you don't need to pay a ton for it either when you're just getting started out. So when do people do it? Usually when they're starting a family. That's when people tend to get serious about, like, when adulting really starts, right? You have outliers that, start very early and are super responsible, and then you have on the other side where they start very late. So I would encourage you, as life becomes more complex, either you're earning way more money than you ever have before, or your family's growing, or whatever the case may be, those are good times.
Okay, so a little bit different for everybody, but really everyone should have some sort of plan in place regardless, right? So,
and not having a financial plan is having a plan. It's just not a very good one.
Very true, very true. Well, we'll wrap it up with if somebody doesn't have that advisor and they want to get started with somebody, or at least talk to somebody, does it cost anything to talk to you about starting a financial plan, or how does that process look? Is there a certain level of investment required?
Yeah, good question. And, I'm certainly in a different place in my business than I was at the beginning, right? So there's not a cost for an initial conversation, and where it goes from there is really dependent upon the situation, right? We have clients that have been investing with their fraternity brother for 20 years, and there's no way they're going to change that. But they have an investment advisor, but they don't actually have a financial plan. So they may engage with us to purchase a financial plan. That's generally going to be 1 to 1.5 times or percentage of their income, right? So if they make 250 grand, it's going to be $2,500 to $3,000, depending on the complexity. We have other clients where, they don't really want a financial plan. They just want help with a specific item. Maybe it's this account needs rolled over, or how much life insurance that should I have. Sometimes it's actually more affordable to them to compensate us from a commission perspective. My practice, we're generally looking for folks, 250,000 or above of household income, or at least $500,000 of assets. But that being said, we have lead advisors on our team that work with young professionals all the time, right? So just because they don't necessarily work with Chad doesn't mean they can't work with our team in a sense. And, I'm certainly still involved when need be.
Excellent. We appreciate all the advice you've given today. After we get through here, I'll throw up on the screen all of Chad's contact information. Chad, is it okay if people reach out to you if they have a question or want to talk more about seeking some financial advice?
Of course, would love that, and more than happy to chat with folks.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. Hopefully everyone took something away. It's certainly an uncertain time out there. So we're hoping to help provide some guidance and resources for everyone to use and be able to ask questions. So thanks again, Chad. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Clay. Yep. Take care.